Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy. One skip, I am, you're not. 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 Guys, what about Gypsy Rose and the way that Nick Godejohn and Ryan Anderson made her feel like she was all that and more? How come that's not enough for her? How come she goes for Ken? Ken, who has to be reminded to give compliments after Gypsy gives them first. Hey guys, let's figure this out because I want you to see something. Ken and Gypsy are starting out by saying how the baby's going to have the name Anderson because the baby, regardless of anything, was conceived during a marriage between Gypsy Rose and Ryan Anderson. So they try to figure out a way to how that can't happen. How the baby can be born an Yerker, whatever the fuck the name is that Ken has. They don't give a shit that he literally stole Gypsy, that Gypsy was literally using Ryan. It's more like, we don't give a shit. You know, Ryan doesn't even have to agree to a divorce. But they're taking for granted he's going to agree to the divorce, and he's going to agree to the divorce on their time, not even his time, because at some point, Ken says, well, does it matter if we get married before? What if we get married before? In other words, it doesn't matter. We don't even have to check with Ryan, who's literally married to you at the moment. We're going to pick a date, and he's going to have to go for it, or else. You're not giving any consideration to the guy that actually married her, was waiting for her the last 2 years. You know, thinking he was the only one. No consideration at all. You know why? Because Gypsy and Ken, both two peas in a pod, man. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. I don't know where that baby's going to get any kind of conscience or good sense or any morals or values. I don't know where that baby's going to be taught them, because not from those two parents. Nope. When Ken on this, we're at episode 4, season 2 of Life After Lockup, and we're at part 2 of episode 4, season 2 of Life After Lockup. And, you know, I had noticed that Ken keeps wearing the same clothes over and over again. The clothes he is wearing in the episode now, when he goes and picks up Gypsy, because of the threat of Ivory Rose Grows Wild, even though Ivory Rose Grows Wild was dared and challenged by Christy. Because Christy said, you don't live over here. No, you don't. Prove it. And then when she proves it, it was a setup for the show, looking like Ivory Rose Grows Wild was going to get out of the car and take everybody on like she's some sort of hit person from the Bayou Mafia, which is a joke. Come on, guys. Seriously. She drove by because she was challenged and she wanted to prove something. I saw that. We all saw that. But, of course, Gypsy and Christy lied, because that's what they do. When their mouth is moving, they lie. And, guys, once again, if you look, I'm telling you, before the baby, right? This before the baby, the show, when Ken goes and picks up Gypsy, to the rescue. I want you to please check out his clothes and then look at the video of him going grocery shopping after the baby's born and Gypsy's in that ridiculous outfit that is has the baby pushed up against her chest, and you have to wonder how the baby can breathe, because not everybody likes those boobies. Listen, guys, we were watching season 2, episode 4, part 2 of Life After Lockup, and there's a few things I want to bring up. Gypsy talks about being nervous. But do you remember the threats that Gypsy made? You got me by the short and curlies now, but, you know, I'm not going to always be on parole. You remember that? Remember how she's all mouth, but she's some action now, because she will wield KNIFE. Of course she will, because she's wielded it before. She had 2, right? And, you know, if we are to believe her, which we don't, it's quite possible that Gypsy might have very well, maybe educational, alleged purposes, entertainment, of course, she might have wielded that knife at her mommy, right? So Gyps, you know, because your mom was just doing the best she could, and You just didn't have the courage to leave and try and try and try. You needed to unalive your mom, make money, and I don't know, just live off the back of the blood money from your mummy that you caused. And Nick Godejohn is begging people for commissary money. What the fuck? What's wrong with you, Gypsy Ahoy? So, guys, Gypsy also threatened, and I'm not a Fancy fan, but she did threaten. She did threaten Fancy. And because that's Gypsy. Gypsy hasn't learned anything. She has not. And she does have to tell her PO. So in this stupid show, she says, well, I only have to tell him things when he brings it to my attention. No, dumbass. When you leave town, you're supposed to tell him. And you're not allowed to take 2 days from this week and 2 days from last week and make 4 days out of a week here. You're not allowed to do that. The rules are specific. If you don't use the days, you lose the days. Look it up. Look it up. You don't get to shift. And if you are shifting and doing everything, it makes you wonder who's paying who here. I mean, come on. Parole is parole. There's stipulations for a reason, and not stipulations made by you. Not things that are supposed to be changed around by the perpetrator. Not by the person who's on parole. You're allowed to ask for those changes, but the parole board is not supposed to grant them on a whim just because you didn't take time this week and you want to make it into next week. Funny how you weren't afraid to be in a house with the hurricane coming at your ass when you had the Katrina hurricane. But, you leave your doors unlocked and anybody could walk through, and you're afraid of a blonde girl that lives on the bayou. Come on. Come on. It looks bad when you've got to go that deep to try to find people to make you look like some sort of superstar. You know, it's bullshit. And Lifetime, you're a joke. Disney, you're not far behind. So, guys, as always, Gypsy is like a victim. She's always crying about being the victim. She's always the victim, but she's not the victim. She is the mastermind behind an MURDER who plays a VICTIM and wants to act like a 14-year-old child and have a tantrum and lose her mind and everything when things don't go her way, when she is questioned. We're allowed to question you, Gypsy. So, she's in the car when she's going to go to be with Ken and not going to be at a house. She texts Christy and Rod and lets them know that where she's at. But she also looks over at Ken and says, Ken, I'm going to text them and let them know not to worry about me because I'm going to be with you. Unlike what she did with Ryan. With Ryan, she let Ryan guess. And the reason why she did that, because she knew that she was screwing around with Ken, and she knew that Ryan caught wind of it because she had mentioned shit about, there's 2 men in my heart. And when she would text somebody, of course, we know that she was texting Ken half the time. But when Ryan would say, who are you texting? There was a reason why Ryan was saying that, And instead of Gypsy showing the same consideration that she just showed Ken by saying she was texting Christy and Rod, she could have said that to Ryan in the car that night, but she didn't. She waited for Ryan to say, who you texting? And she got all flustered. In the meantime, she was texting Ken, I believe, but she lied and said she was texting her sister. Come on. He has every reason to ask because he felt that there was something. WRONG. So she talks about how she feels that her home should be a safe space, and that's where I almost lost the beverage that was in my mouth, the food that was in my stomach, the sense of humor that I've had for 61 years. I bet your mom thought that the place that she felt safe was in her home too. But you took that away from her, didn't you, Gypsy Ahoy? Gypsy, didn't you take that feeling of safety in your mom's home away from her by setting up the MURDER of your mom? Isn't that true? You see how certain things apply to Gypsy and matter to Gypsy but they don't apply and matter to anybody else because Gypsy doesn't care about other people, including her own mom. We know that, right? That's who Gypsy is, isn't it? Isn't it, guys? Be honest, isn't it? Guys, again, check out Night Convos, KNIGHTCONVOS on Rumble. Guys, they are streaming the Gypsy Rose Show for free. You can check it out there. Great little recording of it, too. So check it out, guys, on Rumble, Night Convos. You can check them out on YouTube, too. And if you wanted to give them a few dollars for paying for the stream and putting it up there for us to enjoy it for free, that'd be great. Otherwise, guys, just say thank you because it's nice of them. All right, be better today than you were yesterday, not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. We're going to keep going. Picking apart Gypsy. I was going to say something, but I'm not. All right, guys. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Be well.